if I traded it all.
Welcome to the show, everyone. As all of you know, I let people talk about themselves right on my radio show, and I've been doing it for a long time, and I'm really excited about networking with everybody today. I don't know, we live in the Windy City. I was saying that today. Does it seem like it's a little windy out? It's crazy out there right now. I'm going to go right in with my first guest, who is Michael Van Vleck. He's the owner-broker of Denali Real Estate. Welcome to the show. You've got to tell everybody, you've been on my show a long time, and I love when you come on because you're all about educating the public.
That's right.
We're live on Facebook, so I want to say hi to everybody out there. Like us, follow us. We're going to be sharing the show afterwards. So tell everybody a little bit about yourselves and what you do.
Of course. So Denali Real Estate is a Arizona licensed real estate brokerage. We do a number of things. Really, we're set up to help real estate investors. We primarily focus in residential real estate, which would include larger multifamily projects, which in some cases is commercial, but it's really residential housing. We help investors both buy, sell, and we do property management as well. So we kind of run the full circle.
Right. But when you come on, one of the things that I know that you like to do is completely tell people what to do. And right?
Well, I mean, I offer suggestions.
Suggestions, but you want to help them because there's a lot of people out there that try and do it themselves, right?
Yeah, of course.
And not really can.
Well, what we want to do
by the way,
is give people the tools that they need to be able to make good decisions, right? So if we're giving people that information, then they can. So it's really about offering that information that they need to guide them, so that ultimately they can make the decision that they need to, whether it's using us or someone else or whoever it might be suitable. I think the first part of that is educating them.
Right. And how long have you been doing this, Michael?
I've been doing it in Arizona 10 years. We are A+ rated on the Better Business Bureau. You can go and see all of our reviews. We're highly rated on Google as well, so you can see our reviews there. Angie's List also, we're A+.
And you can check them out on their website, which is DenaliArizona.com. Now, let's talk today. You said that you kind of want to talk about investing in real estate. Why, where, how?
That's right. So a lot of times we talk about some different topics here. Today, there's a lot of people who have been calling me recently about investing in real estate, and they have a lot of general questions. So the hope here is just to give them a very basic roadmap. Obviously, there's a lot more that goes into it, but at least this might offer somebody some insights and maybe nudge them along in the right direction.
And we have a lot of investors that listen to this station, listen to the show and stuff that. And there's a lot of investors that are even out of state that are buying here.
That's right.
This is a great place to be buying real estate.
Yeah, the majority of our clients are actually from out of state, so we have clients from all over the world. So we're dealing with lots of different time zones and different needs and languages and stuff like that. So that is something that we do. You don't have to be in Arizona to invest in Arizona or any other state.
Now, why invest in real estate at all?
Well, I mean, this is a big question that a lot of people have to decide before they even invest in real estate, which is, why should I even consider it? Well, for a lot of people, there's few options. You have the stock market, you have the bond market, you can invest in your, retirement account at your work, things like that. So it's very limited. A lot of times, in terms of real estate, it offers people some diversification. In other words, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. You want, because when some things rise, other things fall. If you have everything in one basket, you're rising and falling altogether, and it could be bad for you. So real estate offers diversification. I mean, not to get too technical, but the correlation of real estate relative to stocks and bonds is very low, which is what you want. You want your portfolio, as you build it, to have things that are going up and down at different times that will allow you to increase over time. So the diversification is important. Overall, though, real estate, compared to a lot of other types of investments, there's a low barrier to entry, meaning you don't need a huge amount of money, to buy a property. You can use as little as 20% down for an investment property. So, and there's other strategies too. A lot of people will take their current home and turn it into a rental. So instead of selling their home when they move, they'll just keep it and then turn it into a rental. In that case, you essentially can get a rental property for as little as 3% down.
Right. I mean, it's definitely a great way to increase your financial portfolio, right?
Yeah, it can be, for sure.
It absolutely can be. And here in Arizona, from what I understand, Scottsdale is probably the number one place to live almost in the country.
It can be. I mean, surprisingly, there's other places, depending on what it is that you're looking for. In the Phoenix area, we see a big push for Gilbert, for example.
Yes, now
Chandler.
It's up and coming.
Yeah, Gilbert is really a good bedroom-type community. It's fairly new on the scene, so most of the homes there are 20 years or less, whereas Scottsdale, there's going to be homes that were built in the 30s, 40s, 50s.
Right.
So a lot of newer stuff in places like Gilbert, but we're also seeing a big push on the west side too, whether it's Surprise and Glendale, Peoria, over there as well. So,
well, it's Arizona, and everybody wants to live here. When you come here and it's not so windy, I mean, really, it's actually so beautiful.
Absolutely.
It's a beautiful place to live. Your website is DenaliArizona.com. His phone number to call, it's area code 480-626-4062. What's something else that's good?
Sure. Well, the great thing about real estate is you can use leverage, right? You can use other people's money to invest. It's one of the few investments that you can make by using someone else's money, and it's freely available as long as you're credit worthy and you have some other things happening. But using leverage is a massive thing that you can do. It's very difficult when you invest in the stock market to use leverage. You certainly can buy stocks on margin. I don't recommend that if you're not a seasoned investor, but using it in real estate is a big deal. One of the things that I would also say using that leverage is, as opposed to stocks, is real estate's a tangible thing. You can drive by it. You can see it.
You can look at it.
You can kick it, kick the tires if you want.
You can kiss it because it's making you money.
You can. So you can do those things. Whereas stocks, it's a little more difficult because it's not tangible. You can't just necessarily feel it and touch it. So for a lot of people, that's a big deal.
I want to talk about that just for a second because you're saying that you can feel it and touch it and be happy with it, but also stop it. But here's the thing. There's a people that you said that live out of state that are also buying and working with you.
That's right.
You're coming in and taking care of those things for them. And I want to talk about on that real quickly before we leave about how they can hire someone like you who's going to help them do that kind of thing, make sure that their properties are taken care of.
That's
and
right.
Doing what it's supposed to do.
Well, part of that investing in real estate, and this is one of the things that we'll discuss, is having, if you're not from Arizona, for example, is finding somebody local that understands certain concepts, whether they be investment-related concepts, they understand management, but more importantly, the first thing that we do when we sit down with somebody is say, what are your goals and objectives? Why are you wanting to invest in real estate? What's the big picture for you? Some people are investing for their retirement. Some people, they want the diversification. Some people are investing for their kids' college fund. In other words, they don't want to put money in the college fund, so they buy real estate and let it appreciate over 20 years until their kids grow up. Right. So there's lots of different reasons. It helps us understand what might be a suitable investment based on their time horizon, right? Are they a 5-year person? Or are they a 20-year person? And what matters for them. So a lot of that goes into it before we even go and present properties to them.
Right. Well, here we're going to go to a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk further about how you can help them and why, and some of the things that you can do. So his phone number to call, write it down. It's 480-626-4062. You do not have to live in Arizona to be working with him. There's a lot of people that are buying properties that are not here, a lot of them. So again, you can check him out on his website. It's DenaliArizona.com. He's rated A+ with the BBB, also with Angie's List and everywhere. You can check him out. And he Google as well.
Google.
And Yelp. So again, you can check him out anywhere you want. It's DenaliArizona.com. Hang tight. We'll be back in just a minute. Welcome back, everyone. And we are talking with Michael Van Vleck, and he is the owner-broker of Denali Real Estate. And Michael, you've been on my show for years. This is an interesting topic this time. It's a little different than what we normally do.
Right.
And I like it. I like it a lot. So go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about some of the different things that you want. Recap a little bit for anybody that was just tuning in.
We're just talking about investing in real estate in general, why, where, how. So we kind of covered the why. What are some good reasons why? Obviously, diversification, leverage, good tax deductions, cash flow, things like that. Which, if you're in a position where you have a 401k in stocks and maybe you want some diversification, this is a good option. But the next choice, once you say, hey, I want to invest in real estate, now it's where am I going to go? Just because you live in a certain state doesn't mean you necessarily have to invest in that state or a certain city. So it really depends. We have a lot of people, for example, that live in California, and they say, I don't want to invest in California for a couple reasons. One, the prices are really high.
Unbelievable.
Right? So that, the politics of it, because of that, it's not necessarily very landlord friendly in certain parts of California. There's things like rent control. There's a lot of control over what a landlord can and can't do. And some of the laws don't necessarily favor landlords, where it could take you several months to evict a non-paying tenant. States like Arizona, you can evict a tenant in less than 30 days.
Thank you, Joe Aparo, right?
Well, it's not that. This is through the state legislature that creates these laws on how these things work.
It's amazing how different it is in every state.
It has nothing to do with the sheriff, so at all. It's through the legal process through the state legislation that makes those laws. So each state does have slight differences, so you would want to have an understanding of what that is. Aside from those things, though, there's really, in my opinion, 3 primary things to consider on where. One is in terms of where you might want to go, you want to consider your goals, okay? You want to do a basic search for certain things, such as, these are indicative of any state. What's the job growth, population growth, and affordability? So each of those things, the job growth. Certain states have continuous job growth over periods of time, or cities. It doesn't have to be at the state level. Most real estate is local to a large geographic area like the city of Phoenix. But you want to look at their job growth. Primarily 2 things. It's not just necessarily that there is job growth, but you want to see, does the local economy have some sort of diversification? Do you live in Detroit where it's totally tied to certain automakers, or do you live in a city where there's one huge employer that if they went out of business, the whole town is gone, which happens. I mean, those are things to consider. But you want not just job growth, but you want job growth across a number of different industries. Another example would be a lot of people have interest in Las Vegas. Well, Las Vegas, for a long period of time, is very tied to the entertainment industry and the economy as a whole. So when the economy doesn't do well, people stop traveling to Las Vegas to blow money on gambling. So it has that effect. So you want to look at that job growth. Where's it coming from? Is it one industry or multiple industries? Population growth is another one. There's a lot of states where they have a net export of people every year. Illinois is a good one. Michigan is a good one. Really? A lot of the Northeast states, there are more people moving out of those states than there are moving in.
And where do they want to go?
And my personal opinion is I like the Sun Belt, right? That's the places that more people are wanting to move, whether it be Florida, Texas, Nevada, Arizona. California is also a high destination place, but some of the other factors make it more difficult to invest there.
Now you can check him out. He's A+ rated on the Better Business Bureau. Angie's List everywhere. Google, you can check him out. It's DenaliArizona.com. His phone number direct, it's 480-626-4062. Go ahead.
Well, there's some other stuff that you can consider too. I mean, we talked about the job growth, but you want to consider the local economy like we mentioned, but also taxes. High taxes can make it very difficult to invest. There are states that have extremely high property taxes. A lot of them are in the Northeast, New York, New Jersey, Chicago, Illinois in general. California has high property taxes. Certain other states that might be actually attractive investments do have high property taxes, such as Florida and Texas, but they have a higher property tax because they don't have an income tax. So there's no state income tax, so that tends to attract more people to move there.
Right. Well, okay, but one thing, I'm not where we are here on this list. Where would we want to go now?
Well, so one thing, since we talked about where you can invest, we can talk about how you can invest.
Okay.
There's different ways that you can invest in real estate. Obviously, you can just do a traditional way by going and purchasing a rental property, get qualified with a lender, save up your pennies until you think you have 20% down and get out there and buy one. For a lot of people, that's what they do. And that's easy. You just have to have the savings, right? One strategy that we have clients that do is they live in their home, they live in it for a year as required by the lender, and then they go and buy another home. And when they go and buy a new owner-occupied home, they have to put 3% down or 4%,
I think
whatever
a lot of people are doing that lately.
It can't. A lot of people are doing that because they're upgrading homes or whatever. And in some cases, if you don't have to sell your existing home to qualify for a new home, then it might be worthwhile to keep that home. You've only had to put a small amount down to move into that one.
Just don't put a lot of stuff in it, right?
Well, I mean,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Don't get so comfortable because you know you're going to leave, because that's the cost. That's the other cost. But you know what?
But we have folks that will do that over and over, like
They
not
don't
just
mind.
one time, like
A lot.
Yeah,
Right.
So we have folks that are, veterans. They'll go and get a home on their VA loan, have no money down. They live there for the lender required time because they will have a minimum. If you buy a home owner occupied, you must live there 1 to 2 years. Usually it's 1 year.
Okay.
So, but once that time is up, you can move out and turn it into a rental.
Right. And as you're living in that home, if that other house that you're buying has anything needs to be done on it, right? You can can you work on that, or can you do that, or does it have to be wait till you're completely there a year and then start doing it? Or even then you can wait a year and
You
then
just
start
can't
doing
rent it out for a
Right.
year.
Oh, so you just can't rent it out.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want to the
Oh,
house,
that's awesome.
but you can't turn it into an investment
Right.
and rent it
for 1
until that 1 year period's up. And then
That's
you can go out and do your own thing. But it's a great way for people to accumulate a small real estate portfolio without necessarily having 20% down every
A
time.
lot of money.
Yeah, with that 20% down, you could technically go and buy 3 homes or something like that as
Wouldn't
opposed
that be
to...
amazing?
Yeah, it's a great way to do it. It doesn't, and it's time. If the sooner you do that and you're younger, the more you have time on your side. It's the folks that when you do it later, you have less options.
Right. It's harder. It's harder to do anything when you're older, right?
Well, yeah, something.
Sort of like that. But really, seriously, I mean, but it's a great way, I think, for the younger folk, really, to be able to do that and to accumulate, to have real estate in your portfolio. I mean, they say it's something that everybody should have.
It has. I mean, it affords you a couple of things. I mean, I always tell folks it is considered an alternative investment, but it's a bond. Like when you buy bonds, you get a regular monthly coupon payment that bond pays you. Well, in real estate, that's the same as the rent. But so you're buying this cash flow that comes in each month for the rent. But the great thing about it is you have this like equity type component where the price can go up over time, and you're using leverage to do it. So it has this. It's an alternative investment that has this sort of hybrid approach where you get a bond and an equity option that you can't really get with anything else.
And that's what the goal is, and that's what it says here, is basically your goal is to get that cash flow.
That's right.
And the equity going.
That's right. So time will work in your favor. So if you do it when you're young and you have a longer term holding period time horizon, then it will absolutely work in your favor over time.
We have 2 minutes, so let's go to some of these other things.
Sure. Well, there's other ways that you can easily buy real estate. One being you can purchase stock or shares in a real estate investment trust. They're exchange-traded type securities typically, and in a real estate investment trust, think of it like a real estate mutual fund, right? So you buy, you put in $1,000, and essentially you buying little tiny pieces of lots of properties. And because of that, the REITs have to go by specific rules. They have to pay out a certain amount of their income, and they have to meet certain things as part of that investment. They can't just go in and buy properties and then never give the money back to people.
Do people that are out of town get involved in REITs a lot?
Well, it's a very easy way to do it. So in other words, it's kind of like buying a stock mutual fund. As soon as you put your money in, it's automatically diversified. So it can be very beneficial. It just has to be, depending, on the person, the right thing.
What's your final words?
I would say, in terms of investing in real estate, there's a lot of things to consider. I think the most important thing is finding somebody that's knowledgeable, that knows what they're doing, and understands the local marketplace. So if, for example, you decide decide that you're going to invest in Arizona, find somebody who's local to Arizona. If you're going to invest in Nevada, find somebody in Nevada.
How long have you been here?
I've been here doing this for 10 years.
10 years. So you definitely know. You're very, very, very knowledgeable, and you have a lot of experience. You're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, also on Angie's List and on Google. You can check him out. It's at DenaliArizona.com. You can also call him direct. You do not have to live here to work with him. The phone number is 480-626-4062. Again, it's DenaliArizona.com.